I could have a conversation with 18-year-old Danielle, I would tell her to be quiet. I did too much talking before I thought. So a lot of decisions that was made was based off the right now emotion and not planning.
So, what was there ever a time around that age that you felt like you didn't have a voice?
So at that time, I was still in DCFS, and my decisions wasn't really my own. I ended up running away. So I would say a year at the time that I was in the group homes, I felt like I didn't have a voice. But it wasn't like all the time because there was people that was trying to help me, but like I was in a very like bad headspace. So I felt everybody was against me. Like everybody was attacking me. So I wasn't really listening.
So, what were some of the contributing factors to that feeling
Of not having a voice.
of you feeling like everybody was against you and you were, not being in the
I was
right
so
mind space?
angry. Like I was such an angry person at that time. I had lost my mom at 15, and then I got separated from my twin brother. And then I didn't really like females, and I was in a house full of them. So it was like 13 of us. And if you don't really know me, you can misunderstand me. You know what I'm saying? And by like me being a big girl, I was bigger than this, and it can come off as intimidating. So like a lot of times, people will try to get me first, type thing, or because I was angry, they knew like I was always like I could fight or go from 0 to 100 real quick. They was like always in anticipation. So I kind of set it up that way where people felt guarded. So because they was guarded, I was guarded. That makes sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Absolutely does make sense. Where was your family at that point? Because, like you said, your mother had passed away. Then you got separated from your twin brother. So, where were the other adults?
That's a full question. Um, a lot of them couldn't handle me. So they did the best that they could, and they thought it was best for us to go into the system instead of taking us in. And at that time, we didn't have a relationship with our father, so he wasn't an option.
That's interesting. I didn't expect that answer about them feeling as though going into the system was best. Like, did you ever have any resentment toward the
Oh,
other adults in your life?
absolutely. But I have an amazing godmother, and she was like probably the only person I asked that question to, and she was honest about why she couldn't take me and David, and it had nothing to do with us. It was her and what she had already experienced trying to be there for her niece and nephew, and she felt like she messed up, and she didn't want to do that again. So I respected that because it made sense. But at the time when I was in it, I was absolutely hurt. Like my mom was too good to people for us to not have nobody.
So, what did that look like when you came out of DCFS? What were your relationships with people then? Or did you
So
even
when
begin?
my mom passed, I pushed a lot of people away. So it wasn't even like they even had an option. But as I got older and my relationship with God was mended, because I left church, God, everything. But as I got older and my relationship with God got better, I started allowing people to be there for me. Um, and I forgave those that couldn't, because a lot of times we look for something from people that they just don't have to give. Like we looking for them to be able to love on us or provide for us or take us in when they barely hanging on themselves or they don't know how to love themselves. Like we looking for things from people that like really we can only get from God.
So, thinking about you at 18, did you ever feel or think that you would get to this point of giving grace and even going back to God?
Oh, absolutely not. If you had told me I would be where I am in life now, I'd have laughed. Like that's a joke. Um, I was in the streets then, so like making it to 43, I didn't even think that was, and then to be in the position in life that I'm in, like I never thought to want to be in ministry, to be in church the way I'm in church. Like I didn't like going to church when I was a kid. My mom would find ways to get me to go. Like the older I got, she would let me drive, and that's how I would go to church. But like, you ain't even gotta just tell me what time to be there, and I'm there now. But yeah, no, I never would imagine my life the way it is now.
Where did you expect to be? Like when you like
Honestly
exited?
speaking,
Yeah.
if I'd have stayed where I like the way I was at 18, dead or in jail, I'd have killed somebody or they'd have killed me.
So what was that like being in a young lady in the streets?
Can I be honest?
Please.
I had a ball. By the grace of God, He kept me. I had fun. Like I didn't get saved because I hit rock bottom. Because when I was in the streets, I did experience moments when I was homeless and in a car, but that didn't run me back to church. Like I didn't go to God because I didn't have no one else. I went to Him because He drew me. But I had fun. I went to parties. Like I still was in school. I still worked. So I still provided for myself. But I was one of the fellas. Like they taught me everything I know. I had fellas. Like, I had a ball. And then I couldn't I never gave birth to kids, but I got a gang of children. Like all that happened while I was in the streets. I made a family.
You know, it's interesting. I've definitely heard that before about how sometimes the streets choose you, where you end up being a part of it, and then you build a family or a family you don't necessarily have. So what were your thoughts when it came to your twin? Like, where was
That
your
was my
mind at with
saving
that?
grace. I tried to push him away too, but I remember one day he told me he was never gonna let me go, and I just had to accept it. Like he was the one person that I did not really like push away. I stopped pushing away because he wasn't going nowhere. Like he would drive up here from Alabama to come check on me, make sure I was good. He prayed for me. Like I wouldn't be where I am if he hadn't been praying for me. The reason I didn't kill myself was because of my brother. I couldn't leave him by himself. That was selfish.
That's
That was my
beautiful.
lifeline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it makes sense just the way that you twins are typically connected in that way, but
And we was
um,
total opposites, and I think now we not so much total opposites. We kind of like we humor, we love God. So it's kind of like we a lot similar now, but like we polar opposites back then. He was all church, loving God. Like we called him Bible boy.
so before going into foster care, did you feel any resentment toward him because of him having that path of loving church,
I
or
know. I used to tease him about it. So like when he used to make me mad, I used to sing a song, "Call You a Liar," or "Devil You a Liar." He used to get him, and then one day he just said, "I'm not the devil, and you can't use that song against me." Our relationship wasn't like it is now. He was more annoying back then. Like now, that's my buddy.
so trailing back to um, right before going into foster care? How are you navigating not having your mother to guide you through that journey of being like that's right before like that's the transitional time before becoming an adult woman.
So we went into foster care like 3, 4 weeks after she died. Maybe no more than 2 months after she died. But she passed like right before my sweet 16th birthday. That was tough because like we had plans and that didn't happen. So but far as like the transitional, that never went away. Like needing her, like when stuff would happen, even now, like when I was getting ready to get married and she wasn't there. But like God blessed me with a bunch of mothers, like people that love me. Even now I got new mamas. But it just be like I know it'd be different if she was here. Like sometimes I experience situations that I know she went through and made it through. And I be wanting to have those conversations with her. Cause like your mom is the one person will love you regardless of what you bring to the table. Like everybody can't handle Danielle, but I know she could.
Like just this knowing that it's different, but you're still embracing what you have, who
She
you have.
impacted so much in those 15 years. Like she knew she wasn't gonna see us make it to adulthood. So she just impacted so much stuff in us in those 50 years. And I lean on that. I glean from that.
What do you feel you? What characteristic of hers do you feel you embody the most as an adult?
My humor and my love for God. Like she was a servant to the T. Like she did everything in the church. Like she assisted the pastor. She did Sunday school. She did the youth choir. Like she was everything. And she was like there for people. She knew how to love on you. And I got that from her. Yeah.
So it sounds like you mentioned, she poured a lot.
She did. Like she taught us how to check books, how to pay bills, how to fill out applications. We knew our social security number when we was like 9. Cook, like the essentials, wash clothes. She taught us all that stuff at a young age. And the importance of education. Like my mom was a year away from her master's when she passed. And both me and my brother got our masters.
She had left a legacy for
Yeah.
sure.
Her legacy would be love. Because the way we love on people is how she showed us. Like love is a big part of her legacy. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So with that of having such powerful, her leaving such a powerful impact and being so strong, like in your life, even like before she passed away. Did you ever even wonder or care about who or where your father was?
Oh, absolutely. I kind of like tortured my dad a little bit. In 6th grade, I changed my name to Lynette Brown because that was his last name and my middle name. We went on a field trip and we ended up at his job. I went there like I'm here to see my dad. Silly stuff like that. I'll call him. Like I always thought I was supposed to be daddy's girl, and in real life, I ended up being daddy's girl because God is my father, and He treats like I feel the love from God like I would from a natural physical father. So yeah, I still ended up being daddy girl, just not my physical father.
Did you? I'm sure you did. But what did your forgiveness journey look like? Like even the ugliest parts
For who?
towards your father.
Uh, that came with the help of my pastor. So like I dealt with a lot of rejection because I felt like he didn't want me. Like I saw him, I knew him. We was in different places together. And then when he got to the point where he did say something to me, he always asked about my brother first. And that used to like I used to break down, like be devastated for weeks after that. Like, why don't he want me? You know, because there's other kids I knew that he had a relationship with. Um, but forgiveness is for us, right? So it was a time he had came where I was, and my pastor, saw me go through that little process, and he was like, "That was the last time I was gonna break down like that." He was like, "You can't make somebody want you, and when you do that, you push them." And so I just chill. Like if I would see him, I wouldn't go run up to him or nothing. And he ended up just speaking to me on his own. And then Mama Deborah started speaking to me. And then like when we saw each other, it wasn't no like tension or nothing. Um, in fact, he ended up telling me he loved me one time. So, me not being so extra helped, and then me learning to let go. Like I'm not for everybody, right? Just like caviar, you got some people love it. You got some people ain't even never taste it, but say they don't like it. So like I'm not for everybody, and that's okay, cause I'm for who I'm for. And again, God has blessed me with people that actually love me and help me through that rejection. Cause I would project that rejection even off on my twin. That everybody know my brother loves me, but I'd be in spaces where I feel like he was ashamed of me or he didn't really want me there, and it was because of how I was, dealing with my daddy issues. So I ended up like putting that off on other people, and that wasn't really the case. But when I allowed myself to be free and God to heal me from the hurt, I was able to move forward. So when I saw him, it didn't hurt. If he didn't speak, it wasn't the end of the world. And then it got to a point where he did. Right. So, and now I got a whole side of the family now. So my siblings and everything. So it was always, some people just didn't know. So it wasn't they didn't want me. They didn't even know about
Isn't it interesting what we tell ourselves? Like when we experience something, it may feel too familiar,
me.
and so it affirms something that we were already kind
Yeah, it's like a
of
trigger.
assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if you think that, you're going to look for it. So when you're looking for it, you're going to find it to make it fit how you think. So to validate your thoughts. Like you think somebody cheating, anything going to look like they cheating. And in real life, that's probably a cousin. Like when you already have it in your head, you're going to find evidence to prove.
So what did you do to like? What kind of protective measures did you use when it came to having relationships with
Oh, super guarded. Like I ran it. It was what I said, how I wanted it. Um, unless I allowed you to think you was in control. So I was in a domestic for like 12 years. But that was because he the first person I felt like wanted me. It was toxic, but he couldn't go without not seeing me. So like if he ain't see me, he gonna come find me. But I feel like I stayed as long as I did because he was the first guy that wanted me.
So what gave you the courage to walk away from that? Because I feel that when you go through so many different situations that leave you feeling rejected, um, it takes like a lot of courage and trust in God that if you leave this toxic situation, that one day eventually you end up in something better, or life will be better even without this person. So what gave you the courage to
I
walk
was
away?
tired. So like it had got to a point where I was having panic attacks on my way home because I didn't know what I was going into. And then one day I was coming home from school and I was on a bus stop and he called my phone just japping, going off. I was like, I ain't even there yet. And then I called one of my mamas. I called my mama Erin. I was like, can I come stay with you till I find me a place? She was like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm on my way. I didn't go back. I called my brother and my cousin to go with me to get my stuff. I called him and told him to pack my stuff. And he did. And I went and picked up my stuff and didn't go back. It was just like, why? Like, I got so much going on for myself. I'm paying all the bills. Like, I'm doing all this. You cheating. You putting your hands on me. Like, it's just overwhelming. It's like, why I keep going through this? Like, nigga, I ain't even made it home. And you talking crap. I ain't coming. And I never went back. Like, I messed around with him a little bit still, until that part just wore itself out. And then I started talking to other people. And then I met my husband. Um, yeah, he was like so dope, cool. I didn't want to really do too much with nobody else. And yeah, God got a way of removing people safely, you know. And when you can't, he still do it in a good way. So like the one that was domestic, I couldn't stop. He ended up going to jail for a minute, which gave me enough time to get him out of my system. I ended up still talking to him a little bit, and then like once that last time though, when I got my stuff and moved, yeah, the relationship part was over. But we still had ended up being friends till he passed away. Like that was my dude.
And that's how gracious God is.
Yeah.
He knows
Mhm.
where things can go, but let me put this in place so that
Because it's
way it
at
can
the end
come
of the day,
on
it's still
out.
a choice, right?
Right.
God not gonna force anything on us, but He'll make sure it's people in our path. So like even when I didn't want to have nothing to do with God or church, it was always somebody saved in one of the group homes I was at. Like if I couldn't go on weekend passes, we would have to go to church. Stuff like that. So he always found a way to let me know that he was still there. Mm-hmm. Or even sometimes when I could become just overwhelmed, I used to go back to my old church, Maranatha, they on State Street. And they never looked at me crazy, never said nothing about how I looked or smelled or nothing. They just loved on me, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, it's always, he always put a person or a safe place. He always provide that until you can get it right in the head.
You had mentioned that even during the time where you weren't really close to God or you really weren't even thinking about Him, that He still shows you that He was there. I'm curious to know, how did He show you that you were gifted or anointed? Because I know coming into where you are now of praying and ministering and being on fire for God clearly wasn't an overnight thing. So, what did that look like for you even back then? Just learning that, man, I'm gifted in this way.
I didn't know none of that back then. Um, in fact, I was in denial about my influence over people. I remember when I was a kid, the bus driver was like, "If I can get you under control, everybody else will be under control." And he suspended me out the bus, and I was so irritated because I'm like, "I'm one person. What do you mean?" And then I just like looking back, I saw how I just easily I got people to just go along with, or people would seek my advice. Like I'm a kid in foster care, and people still came to me for advice or for help or for protection, stuff like that. So I was already operating in my gifts without realizing that they were my gifts. I didn't really understand the calling on my life until I got to Bread of Life. The church that I'm with now, well, we Trinity too. So when I got under the leadership of Pastor Neiman, like he knew and he pushed me before I even knew I wanted it. So like I would always be in trouble, but it wasn't trouble. It was training. And it was to make sure the first lesson he taught me was to protect my witness. And that people don't always remember what you say, but how you make them feel. Those two things really stuck with me, and it opened up my eyes so that I could see what I wasn't really seeing. And then it brought compassion because I have to minister to these people one day. So like if I'm cussing them out or I'm snapping, and then God tell me to get them a word, they don't want to hear that. Or they be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then if something was to happen that could have been prevented, that's on me. But back then, I didn't even want to acknowledge my leadership because I didn't want those responsibilities. I knew about responsibility as a leadership and having influence. I knew about that, and I didn't want no parts. But like when that's what God made you, it's gonna be that way regardless. So I just got to the point where I wanted to stop using it for evil and use it to better people.
So as you came into that part of your identity, was there anything you implemented in, demonstrating your gifts, ministering to people that you didn't necessarily see in church when you were young?
So, mental health wasn't a thing when we were younger. It was pray about it. Gotta do it. We didn't go to therapy. It was pray about it. Gotta do it. Um, in my walk and in ministry and in like just church in general, I understand mental health is real. It is such thing as somebody being possessed, but it's a difference between a spiritual takeover, like a demonic possession, and somebody struggling with mental health. and that it is okay. Sometimes you just need to be able to talk in a safe place, and sometimes you can talk better to a stranger than you can to somebody you got to look at the next day. So therapy is very therapeutic. It helps. So because I was a psych major, I kind of like dual. That's why I'm obtaining my I'm going to get my doctorate in counseling so that I can be well rounded. I got spiritual, which we'll never get all the way. Like God is always teaching us, but I want to make sure that I'm addressing the whole person. And I think that's not what we were taught younger to address the whole person. Is it was more faith, which nothing is wrong with that, but sometimes God created this stuff. He allowed people to make it. You know, it everything that's created can be good and bad, but if it's used properly, it helps.
Okay. So do you believe that, just looking back on like your journey after 15, even going into 18 and 21, 30, do you feel that the ones you're called to are people who mirror who you were at that point?
So I kind of could. I got a little bit of everybody. So I could do church folks and I could do street folks, but I'm mainly drawn to hurt. Like that's that's what's drawn to me. I build people, right, with no strings attached. So like I have to be cautious because that could be overwhelming. I used to have a superhero complex because I'm a fixer, and I had to learn I can't fix people, but I can lead them to the person who can.
That's that balance that I feel a lot of ministers learn the hard way. Just, having those boundaries. I'm here. I'm ministering to your soul, and I want you to be whole and healed. But it can't get to the point where I'm making you my full responsibility
Right.
and integrating you into my life.
You can't become their God because
Exactly.
God will remove you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's still a jealous God, and no man, woman, kid, nobody can be before him. So I have to remember I can't be the God, but I can lead you to him, and I can tell you what he did for me.
So what do you look forward to as far as building out what your ministry will look like, your vision for that?
So I don't want no church. I don't want to be no pastor. I actually have so many that like I'm close to. That's that's something that if that comes like that, that's definitely gonna be like God made me do that. I love assisting. I love helping and making the load lighter for my leaders. So like, and I'm in coaching. I'm coaching. So I operate on every level. So if I can continue doing that in the will of God and wherever He see fit for me, that's what I want to continue doing. I want to help those that feel helpless. Like sometimes, like for myself, I made it where I was alone. You know, so like it's not necessarily I had to be alone, but I've been alone. I've been to where I felt like I had nobody there for me. So those are the people that I want to make sure feel like they got somebody, and I'll be that somebody. Not taking on the responsibility of the person, but just letting them know if I can't do nothing but sit with you or pray with you, that I'm here with you. You're not by yourself.
Meet them where they are.
Mm-hmm.
My last question is, if you could give advice to anybody who is, well, I would say maybe between the ages of 15 and 18, who are struggling in their faith, struggling in their will to live, struggling with having any hope, what would be your advice or encouragement to that person?
If I was to encourage somebody between the ages of 15 and 18 that felt hopeless and wanted to give up, I would tell them first forget themselves. Because a lot of times, a lot of our hurt comes from what we did to ourselves and to others. So you gotta forgive yourself. Because if you don't, you're not gonna be able to accept God's love, right? You're gonna feel like you're not worthy. that you did. So you could never do nothing that'll take our love away from you. So like if you can get to a place where you forgive yourself and know that you're worth loving, that like you're worth being here and somebody needs you. Cause just like you in that place, it's gonna be somebody that come along that's in that place and you'll be able to tell them how you made it through. And like you might not do church like I do church. I don't push church. I do relationship. So get to know him in whatever way that looks like for you. Get to know him and allow him to heal you from the inside out. Cause you worth it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.